Here we go.
Let them swing.
Welcome back, everybody. We took a little break yesterday for Valentine's Day, but today, February 15th, we are back at it for the second act of the Seance at the Whitney. This is our schedule. We might run over a little bit tonight because we missed yesterday and we have a lot of fun stuff to share. So if we run a little over, I beg your indulgence. Here we go. The Seance at the Whitney is an interactive indie author virtual book festival featuring author readings, interactive improv mystery game, and book giveaways every night. Our astounding roster of incredibly amazing authors is there on your screen. If you have not yet checked out their books, please, please do. They are amazing. Tonight, two incredibly astounding authors are reading for you this evening. Amy Kelso will be reading from her novel, Yana, and Mark Love will be reading from his novel, Chasing Favors. All right, Miss Amy, are you ready to go?
I am.
When you're ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
Okay, so first of all, the book is called Yana, which stands for You Are Not Alone. So this is the very beginning of the book. Jacob North. How did I end up here? I'm a good kid, the kind who never gets into any trouble, right? I made it all the way to my junior year of high school without ever getting so much as a detention. So what am I doing in the principal's office? Why was my dad called in? Why are they talking about expelling me? Me, of all people. I do my work. I get good grades. I don't get into any trouble with anyone. In fact, most of the time, nobody even seems to notice I'm alive. But now suddenly everyone seems interested in me, in what I'm thinking, in what I'm going through. They never seemed to care before. Why are they so interested now? Do you understand why you're here, Jacob? The principal, Mr. Jones, asked me. What can I say? Yes? No? I mean, I understand that what I did is wrong. What I don't really get is why everyone is making such a big deal about it. All I did was write down my thoughts, those thoughts that nobody ever cared to find out about before. All those years of being quiet, sitting all alone with my eyes lowered, hoping no one would notice me, and yet praying deep inside that they would, even just a little, hoping that someone would notice my pain, that maybe somebody somewhere could help. This is not the type of help I was looking for. And this is not the type of answer Mr. Jones wants from me. He asked you a question, my dad reminds me. Answer him, he adds, as if I didn't know, as if I needed him to tell me what to do, just as he always does. It's his way of showing his love, I guess. Since Mom left back when I was 6, he's done his best to be a father to me. But I don't think he has any idea how. He never really was a dad to me before she left. When Mom was still around, he was always too busy to even pay much attention to me. Or Mom, for that matter, which is why she left. I understand that. What I don't understand is why she left without me, and why Dad thinks he now has to tell me what to do. Yes, I said quietly, meekly. I shouldn't have done what I did, but I didn't mean for the note to be found. It was just for me, just to help me to... We understand, Miss Birch, my teacher, jumps in. I didn't bring the note to Mr. Jones because of what you said about me. I'm really more concerned about what you wrote about yourself. Still, there are consequences for what you wrote, Mr. Jones pipes up. It bothers him, I think, when someone else tries to take control of the situation. He is the principal, the law of the land, so to speak. And no one is going to upstage him. It clearly states in the student handbook that students are not allowed to abuse or make threats to teachers or any staff of this school. This is not something I can ignore, Jacob. I have to take action. What exactly did he write? My dad asks. Mr. Jones shuffles through the papers on his desk before he finds the one he's looking for. Here, he says in a minute, holding up a piece of lined paper in his hands. It says, I hate Mrs. Birch so much. Doesn't she realize how hard I worked on that report? And yet she gave me an F just because I didn't have an outline with it. Really? Her name shouldn't be Miss Birch. Should be Miss. Mr. Jones stopped reading. Yeah, well, let's see. He goes on to write, I want to kill her. I want to stab Miss Birch in the heart and, oh, wait, she doesn't have a heart. But then he goes on to talk about himself. He says, my dad cuts him off. I don't care what he has to say about himself. I care about this. Then he turns to me. Why would you write something like that? Haven't I raised you better than that? I thought about answering him. No, he hasn't raised me at all. The only reason he's pretending to care about any of this is because it makes him look bad. People might think he's a bad parent or something. I asked you a question, my dad screams in my face. Talk to me, you little. He stops just in time, remembering that there are others in the room. He saves the yelling and the swear words for when we're alone. They don't help his image as a good dad. I think we need to talk about what he wrote about himself, Miss Birch interjects. He wrote here, I don't want to be alive. I shouldn't be here. Nobody cares about me, and I should just. My dad just laughs. Nobody cares about him? Why would he say that? I'm here, aren't I? Obviously, I care. He's just doing this to get attention. Am I wonder? Well, if I am, I guess my plan worked. I'm getting all the attention I could ever want. More than I ever wanted. Now I just want to go back to being invisible. Be that as it may, Mr. Jones jumps in again. The student handbook clearly states that if we feel a student is a threat to themselves or others, they cannot be in the school. I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. Jacob will be suspended from school until we can have a code of conduct meeting. Then we'll decide if he will be expelled or not. And how long will that take? My father asked impatiently. The meeting will be on Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock. I'm sorry about the inconvenience this might cause, but like hell you are, my father mumbles under his breath. Either Mr. Jones doesn't hear him or he pretends not to, because he just continues with what he's saying. Now, I'm sorry, but I really do need to get some work done. If you'll excuse me. Mr. Jones stands up and ushers us out of his office. So what's he supposed to do with his time off? My dad asked Miss Birch as we stand outside the office. Can he get work he's going to miss? I don't want him to get behind in his classes because of this. Miss Birch shakes her head sadly, almost like she really cares. I'm sorry. The policy is you can't make up any schoolwork when you're out for school suspension. But, she perks up a little, I can give Jacob a little project to work on while he's off. She smiles, like she just came up with a great idea. Jacob, she says directly to me, I would like you to write a paper for me, okay? Like a letter. I want you to do some reflection and tell me why you wrote the note. Maybe if you figure out why you did it, it'll help you not to do it again, okay? Is she serious? Really? I could tell her why I did it in 4 words. I hate this school. I hate the teachers. I hate the principal. I hate the kids. I hate everything about the school, even myself, especially myself.
Wow. Yay! Thank you very much. That's a pretty intense reading. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, hold up the book one more time and show it to us, pretty please. You Are Not Alone. Also titled Yana. I love how you did that, by the way.
Thank you.
Because I can remember that title.
That's the plan, yes.
Good work, Amy. Yay! All right, Mr. Love. Are you ready with your reading, sir?
I am.
Awesome. Can you show us your book?
Sure.
This is Chasing Favors. This is the latest Jamie Richmond novel. It's very exciting. When you are ready, sir, please take the microphone and read aloud.
All right. This is a scene from that book. It's told from Jamie's point of view. And there is a little surprise for some of you in this, and we'll just kind of take it from there.
Perfect.
Sunday evening, I was expecting to curl up on the sofa with Malone and watch the football game. So I was a little surprised when Linda arrived at the front door with a garment bag dangling from her fingers. Jamie, you've got an hour to get ready. Let's go. She kicked the door shut with her boot heel, Her face was full of merriment. Ready for what? Your date. Come on, I've got your dress right here. I stood in front of her with both hands raised. What date are you talking about? Linda pushed the garment bag into my hands and started toward the bedroom. Date night. You remember a couple of weeks ago when you got dolled up to meet Randy and his mom? Of course, but what? And Malone mentioned that you two should have a date night occasionally, where you get a little glamorous. Remember that? Kind of, but I don't recall telling you that. Malone told me. That's when we went shopping. She marched past me into the closet and started digging through my shoe rack. Wait a minute. When did you and Malone go shopping? Exasperated, she faced me. Last week. He wanted my advice on a new dress for your date night. One that you could use a few times, like tonight and maybe for Randy's wedding. Now, will you stop calling? What was going on? She took the garment bag from me and slowly unzipped it. Inside was a stunning black dress that would reach mid-calf. Dangling from another hanger was a small mesh bag. Linda pressed that into my hands. New lingerie for a new dress. I took the liberty of washing for you. This is so unexpected. My voice was in whisper mode. Linda took my shoulders. You deserve it. Let me help you get ready. She was like a fairy godmother. Somehow Linda gently coaxed me to get moving. She styled my hair while I fumbled with makeup, perfume, and the gown. I was just stepping into the high heels when there was a knock on the bedroom door. Malone, resplendent in a new black suit. Wow, Linda was right about that dress. Jamie, you're gorgeous. My face went red. Malone, I can't believe you set this up. I had no idea you were planning a night out. I planted a tender kiss on his lips. He escorted me to the car. Malone refused to tell me where we were going. Instead, he lightly held my hand as we cruised toward downtown. I feel like a character in a fairy tale. That would be the gorgeous young princess awaiting the arrival of the hero. That's twice in a short while that you've called me gorgeous. Better be careful. It might leave a permanent boost on my ego. Malone exited the freeway and coasted to a stop at the top of the ramp. You are gorgeous. He steered through traffic and pulled up to the valet stand at the Whitney, originally a private mansion for a lumber baron. It had been converted into a restaurant and bar years ago. Rumor had it that ghosts of the original owners haunted the bar. Inside, a young lady took our coats, while another guided us to a table in the corner. Malone, did you rob a bank? This isn't a place for a cheeseburger after the game. Look at this menu. You knew the establishment was ritzy when cell phone usage was restricted to the lobby area. Relax. Don't look at the price. Look at the option. But Malone, he reached over and squeezed my hand. Hush. He had one of those low voltage smiles going, with just a little spark at the corners of his eyes. Okay, maybe the voltage was a touch high. I studied the menu. It described options for a 4-course dinner. There was no rush to the meal. At length, he paid the bill. The valet got a generous tip for having the heat cranked up when he brought the car. Are you enjoying our date? Malone, this whole evening is crazy. When we talked about a date night, I pictured wearing a dress from my closet, not buying a brand new gown. And the restaurant was over the top. Did you win the lottery? I'm a winner, Jamie, because you're in my life. There have been some tense moments, but those are far outweighed by the good times. For a year now. A year? A year! I'd been worried about it before, but had lost track of time, getting wrapped up with Randy's problems and Ian's tutoring lessons and the new book and, well, everything. Malone knew. He pulled to the side of the road. One night ago tonight was our first date. Don't you remember? A year. Malone gently took my face in his hands. 1 year ago. We went to dinner, then went dancing. I remember. My voice tried valiantly to hide the shakiness of my spirit. Were you going to take me dancing tonight? There must be a club around here somewhere, maybe a little jazz or something we can dance to. I leaned across and kissed him. I know just the place. The perfect place. He knew what I had in mind. Malone drove to the studio. He turned on a couple of small spotlights while I turned on the stereo. I selected music from the late 50s. It was perfect. As the first song started, Malone gently took me into his arms. Happy anniversary, Jamie. I love you. My heart did a little jig. That happened every time he said it. I love you. Happy anniversary, Malone. I've never been with someone this long. He spun me away, then drew me back. Just keep in mind that every date night is going to be this extravagant. My heart couldn't handle this very often, maybe only once a year. This has been quite a way to celebrate, whispered in his ear, my arms around his neck. Seemed appropriate. Want to try for 2 years? Oh, yeah.
Love that reading. So perfect. What a great choice for tonight. Thank you very, very much.
There's the
Chase.
cup.
There it is. Chasing Favors. Amy, hold your book up again. There it is. Amy's book, Yana. And we will be giving copies of those autographed by the spectacular authors. We'll be giving those away tonight on the Spinning Wheel of Happiness. Thank you, Amy and Mark, for your amazing readings tonight. That was super fun. All right, we're going to go onward with the recap, and then the madness will ensue, I promise. Here we go. The Seance at the Whitney. At the Ghost Bar inside the Whitney Manor, an historic Detroit estate, a world-famous psychic medium has come for an exclusive invitation-only seance. With so many curious about spiritualism around the world, this event promises to connect the living and the spirit worlds, opening doors to mysteries that transcend time and space. But when the seance spirals into a chilling rendezvous with a vengeful spirit and a shocking murder, it falls upon those in attendance to unravel the truths hidden in the darkest depths of the past. A spirit is summoned, vowing revenge on their killer. One of the guests becomes hysterical, claiming the spirit is there for them. Suddenly, the lights start flickering, and the wind pushes the windows open, extinguishing the candles around the room. The room and everyone in it are thrust into darkness. When the light returns, the same hysterical guest is lying on the floor, dead. Who killed them? Why? What was it, the furious spirit or something far more earthly? And since we are now in Act 2, I'm going to remind you again of our cast members, all of whom are present this evening. The medium is the great Christopher Gare. His assistant is Donna Newman. The author is Amy Kelso. The socialite is Dawn Menge. The spouse is Jules Nelson. The fan, Marianne Wieland. The aloof guest, Gary Floyd. The maitre d' is Melinda Falco, and I am your storyteller. I have interviewed the Whitney Manor staff and others and come upon the following information. The persons who offered this information only did so on the condition that they remain anonymous. But I believe that this information is relevant to our mystery, so I agreed to the condition. Please remember that my journalistic integrity demands that I protect my sources. To understand what happened at tonight's seance, we have to go back to a tragedy that occurred just over 5 years ago, right here at the Whitney Manor. As you know, the Whitneys own a large property and share a forest with another magnificent residence, the Ainsworth Estate. Ainsworth Estate, home to Richard's best friend, Nora Ainsworth. When they were young, all the kids went to different private schools, so they were only home on breaks. When the kids happened to be home at the same time, Richard from Detroit Country Day and Nora from Cranbrook, they spent their days in the forest imagining, making up stories, and playing. Each day they met in the forest near where the two estates met to write and act out their vivid stories. Both had a flair for theatrics, and soon they designed a special ritual which they performed when they met each day near the abandoned maintenance shed and the well. Nora discovered an old crystal ball in the basement of the Ainsworth estate and brought it out to the old maintenance shed. Each time they met, this magical orb became their conduit to the spirits of creativity. They started each meeting by asking the spirits to inspire them with exciting stories to act out. The ritual soon captivated Richard's little sister, Amy, who joined the duo in their forest rendezvous when she was home from school. In fact, Amy was so inspired by the stories they created that when she returned to school at Cranbrook, she spent her evenings writing out the stories the three had created. Nora never knew that Amy was recording the stories they created with Richard. After she graduated, she fine-tuned the stories into a novel and submitted it to a prestigious publishing house. Now, Amy Kelso is a household name with multiple books in print, and her upcoming saga developed from the series is destined to become a tremendous success for Amazon Prime. Jules Nelson, a local girl who attended Detroit Country Day, was often found lurking by the Whitney staff in nearby bushes, spying on the trio. Later, she became Richard's husband, to the surprise of many. The bond between Nora and Richard transcended mere friendship, though. One might say they were kindred spirits, sharing an extraordinary connection that deepened with time. As the teens grew older, the pressure to marry and start a family grew. Nora ended up engaged to a man named Troy Haynes. It was an arrangement made at the behest of Nora's parents. Although Nora cared for Troy, she didn't really love him. However, given the pressure from her family, Nora felt she could not disobey. On the night before their wedding, Nora Ainsworth disappeared without a trace. Nora and Troy Haynes' wedding was to take place at Corton Falls in Birmingham, a 45-minute drive from the Detroit estates. The Ainsworths were all staying at Maxine Marianne Ainsworth Whelan's mansion in the affluent Corton Lake area of Birmingham. Maxine Marianne is the eldest Ainsworth child and Nora's older sister. The Whitney family also traveled to Birmingham in anticipation of being guests at Nora's wedding. They had a suite of rooms nearby at the Townsend Hotel in downtown Birmingham. Late the night before the wedding, Nora's older sister, Maxine Marianne, went to Nora's room to give her a wedding gift and found a note saying that she had gone to the Whitney Manor and most likely would not return. The groom, Troy Haynes, arrived at the house as Maxine Marianne was leaving, and the two sped off toward the Whitney together with hopes of bringing Nora back. When they arrived, the Whitney Manor was dark. Only the maid and Melinda Falgo, the maitre d', were inside. Both said They hadn't seen anyone all evening. But that wasn't entirely true. In fact, the Whitney Manor had been quite the hub of activity that night. It was reported that before the arrival of Marianne and Troy, a taxi driver dropped Nora at the Whitney Manor. But what was not in any police report was that two other people arrived separately at the Whitney Manor that night. The first was Richard Whitney. Nora sent a message to Richard at his hotel room earlier that night, telling him to meet her at their spot and to come immediately. Their spot was, of course, the old maintenance shed and the well in the forest between the two estates. Richard, now engaged to Jules Nelson, sneaked off and took his own taxi back to the estate. He did not stop at the house first when he arrived. He headed straight for the place where Nora told him to meet. There, he found a frantic Nora. "I'm so glad you've come, Richard," she said. "We have to run. There's no time to lose." Richard tried to calm her down, but Nora was desperate. "We could make a run for it," Nora urged. "We can change our names, build new lives, and be together forever." Tears of longing fell down her cheeks as she cried to Richard. "This is our chance," she said. "It's our last chance to stop our sham marriages and run away." Nora begged Richard frantically, but Richard wouldn't listen. "Calm down, Nora. Get a hold of yourself. It's ludicrous to throw it all away," he said. "If we leave now, our families will disown us. We won't have any money, no means to sustain our lives, and no reputation. We've both secured decent finances and fiancés who will make sure we can continue to live the life we have always known. If we marry Troy and Jules and stay in the area, no one will ever know about us, and we can still see each other in secret." "Why," Richard demanded, "would you want to ruin all that at the last second with a crazed midnight escapade?" Nora begged Richard to change his mind, but Richard refused. Nora cried, screamed, and grabbed for her lover, but Richard pushed her away. In the heat of the moment, he pushed her a little too hard, and Nora stumbled backward, falling into the well. It was so sudden, so rash. One moment there was screaming and a frenzy of emotion. The next, there was just nothing. Richard stood for a moment there in the forest alone with nothing but the sound of crickets to break the deafening silence. "Nora," he whispered as he approached the well, looking down into the depths, seeing nothing but darkness. "Nora?" When no response came, Richard ran through the forest back to the Whitney Manor. His appearance at the manor shocked the maitre d', Melinda, who had already retired for the evening, thinking the Whitneys were all in Birmingham getting ready for tomorrow's wedding. Stuttering and sobbing, Richard told Melinda what happened, that Nora was laying silent at the bottom of the well. Melinda tried to calm Richard, but he insisted. "There's no time to lose. We have to call for help. We have to save Nora." Melinda thought Richard was having some sort of episode and didn't believe him at first. She tried to make him some tea, but Richard screamed at Melinda to take him seriously. Thus ends chapter 2. So now you have more information about our characters and our story, some back information that perhaps you didn't have until this point. So everybody turn on your microphones and let's start our interrogation session. Who has a question to start off the night? Wolf, go ahead.
Is Melinda actually here?
Melinda is here.
Melinda, did you believe Richard that Nora was dead?
I believed that he was going through some sort of episode. I mean, with the stress of being engaged to Jules and then the stress of seeing his longtime childhood sweetheart marrying Troy. I can just, Richard rather, was always an excitable boy. I guess that's why he was always given to Nora's great stories that she invented and that, he weaved together with her and with Amy. So no, at first I didn't believe him.
Okay, who else has a question? Donna, go ahead.
Melinda, did you ever go check in the well to see if Nora was there?
I did. I did. Eventually, I realized that it wasn't just a flight of fancy that Richard was making up. So, in my house coat, I walked out through the estate. I took a flashlight with me. But when I shone the flashlight into the well, there was nothing there. I very well couldn't have Richard destroy the family's reputation and his own life when there was no evidence to support that he had done the heinous thing that he claimed to have done. So, of course, I urged him to calm himself and just keep quiet about it all, and it would
All right.
take care of itself.
I think it's solid advice in the moment. Maybe not so much in hindsight. Justine, go ahead. Your question?
Amy, were you in the other taxi that went there that night?
I have nothing to say about that.
Okay. Christopher, go ahead.
Quick question, Amy. When you said you came into the seance that night, you had dirt all over your clothes. You had been outside. Were you at the well?
Yes, I was. Because now I did not know about what happened that night. As far as I knew, it was a big mystery what happened to Nora. So to me, the well was still a special place that we used to go and play and come up with these great stories. So it was a comforting place to me, and that's why I went there. I had no idea that there was anything like this craziness with the well. I'm as shocked as all of you to find out that, to be honest.
So the answer was yes.
Yes, I was at the well.
You guys are so fun. Melinda, go ahead.
Amy, I hate to broach this topic with you, but were you perhaps looking for Nora's old crystal ball at the well?
I was looking for comfort at the well. I just said that. I was there because I was upset about what my dear brother had said to me. He was acting very strange. Obviously, he was riled up because of Jules. We already discussed that, but he was acting really weird. I was very upset. So I went to the well for comfort, not for anything else.
Mark Love, go ahead.
Yes, my question is for Jules. Did your darling husband ever share any of the details with you about this escapade at the well, or did he ever go near it again?
No, he doesn't always share his information with me when it comes to his good friend Nora, or his little sister Amy. So he never shared any of this with me, never confided in me. So I'm as surprised as everybody else.
Okay. Jennifer Rains, did you have a question?
Yeah, for Jules. Were you in that extra taxi?
I was. I found the note saying that he was going to meet Nora. So I followed him, but I didn't see anything other than him arguing with Melinda, and then she sent him back to the estate, so I followed him there.
So a supplementary question. So you in fact knew about Nora's disappearance, his fear that she was in the well, and then heard Melinda reassure him that she wasn't in the well. And so you in fact, while he didn't confide in you, you knew all about it.
Very true. I did know that he thought he pushed her in there, and I knew that Melinda told him that there was nobody there and that she thought he was having a nervous breakdown. But he never confided any of it with me. So yes, I did stretch a little bit. I wasn't quite as surprised as everybody else, but he never confided in me.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Anybody? Questions? Troy, Dawn,
Troy
go
does.
ahead. Troy.
I'm devastated as Troy. I've been seeing Nora everywhere for all these years, and we put this together. I did so I could get answers. Well, I'm getting answers, but you had answers and you never confided in me. You never told the authorities. I don't understand.
Who's that question directed at?
Well, anybody who has more information as to why no one told me. I've been looking for her everywhere for all these years. Melinda? Jules?
I had no reason to expect that Nora had actually come to harm. As I said, Richard was beside himself. I went to verify, saw nothing. So I thought he was, as Jules said, just having a nervous breakdown.
Okay. Anyone else have questions out there in the world? Christopher, what did you just put in the chat?
Nothing.
I don't believe you. You don't want to make that part of the permanent record?
Wow.
You
I
can
think it's
decline.
the first time I've
you're
ever
allowed
seen
to decline. I know, it's the first time I've ever seen him speechless.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I'm
okay.
just thinking that Melinda had an opportunity, or no, Jules could have removed the body from the well before Melinda had gone out with the flashlight and looked.
An interesting theory.
I
Donna, go ahead.
Jules, I have a question. Like, did you never ever talk to him about the fact that he almost ran away with Nora? I mean, you said that you kind of saw everything, you followed him. I mean, was there ever a confrontation at some point about Nora?
No, whenever I brought up Nora or his relationship with Nora, he always told me that it was none of my business, and that it was that it had started before the wedding, and that I should just accept it. And he never would talk about it beyond that.
So he basically said, butt out, it's none of your business, I don't want to talk about it.
So if I wanted to end my marriage, then I could have kept talking about it, but he was never gonna talk about it. So
right. Amy Kelso, go ahead.
So I want to kind of dig into that a little more, because we keep, like Mark said, Jules claims to be such a good close friend with Richard, but she never pressed the issue. There seems to be a lot of things that Richard did not share with you, like his will, the money that I was sending him, what happened to Nora. It seems like perhaps this relationship maybe wasn't as strong as you probably hoped it was. So I guess my question to you is, why did you marry some man who obviously didn't care about you as much as his friend who he was devastated about losing?
I don't know, when you're young and you're in love, and then he finally came to me and said that I was the one he wanted to marry, you just, I guess, hope for the best and hope that you grow closer through the years. And I was probably young and naive, but
so
I loved him.
It was kind of the point was it was unrequited love that finally came to a realization, and who wants to question that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to say, maybe you just weren't the best person for my brother. But anyway, I will leave it at that.
Or maybe he wasn't the best person for me.
Maybe both. Maybe
Good point.
both. That's fair.
Good point. I like it. Mark Love, go ahead.
Just a quick rebuttal on Jules, and then I had a question for Amy. When you said this is why they call it settling down, you settled for him. But with Amy, you just moved around on my screen. I can't find you now. There you are. Okay. When you were doing all of your research, or as writers would say, when you're digging the dirt up on all his family, did that include doing a little digging by the well?
I mean, I know what you're saying, but again,
what he's saying is, do you own a shovel?
I only own a metaphoric shovel for metaphorically digging up dirt. When I was digging for ideas, it was all internal. I maybe was at the well looking for inspiration, but not digging around trying to find something because I had no idea there was something to dig up there.
Well, but
I just found this out too. I was not there.
When you came in for the seance, you were dirty from some kind of excavation. The shoveling.
I fell. I was
found it.
distraught. I told you guys I fell because I was so upset. Guys just don't understand the emotionalness of feeling your brother treat you like that. And then, God, now he's dead, and you guys are just all putting me on the spot. And okay, anyway, I'm okay. Continue. Sorry. Go on.
Okay. Justine, go ahead.
Marianne, how do you feel about all this that you discovered?
I am just heartbroken. I have wondered what has happened to my little sister for years, and I've been following the Great One so that he could help us find out. And Richard, sad to say, was a moron. And I used to see those kids playing out there in the forest, bunch of little nosy brats, and I had no idea my sister was involved with Richard. Of course, he goes on to marry that trollop, Julie, down there. And I'm just sick. I don't know what to say. I've been putting my trust in the Great One, and I still have total trust in the Great One. But I don't know what to say. I'm just so incensed. I don't know what to say. This is just such a shock.
It's a shock for all of us. Christopher, Great One, please go ahead with your question.
Great One.
This is still bugging me, so I'll just see if I can get some kind of closure out of this before it gets completely over-explained.
Closure is good.
Amy, did you dig up the crystal ball that night and bring it in?
I have nothing to say about that.
Amy, search your soul. Really search your soul.
And your notes.
Don't just look back. Look back.
I will search my soul. I'll let you know. As far as I know, I have nothing to say about that.
Okay. Mark Love, go ahead.
I'm going to read a note from Mackenzie that's on here. It's Ms. Nelson. Were you upset because he married you because you were the only other option?
No, it's like winning second place with somebody that you really care about. And obviously I were in first place at the time because he chose me over her because she wasn't an option anymore. So, I mean, at the time, no. I mean, did it hurt when he would still go and talk to her? Sometimes I got a little bit jealous, but I mean, when you end up with the prize, you know, it's fine.
She was fifth or sixth place.
It was
she
a
was
marriage
way
of
down on the
convenience?
ladder. She was way down there.
Way down the ladder. So it was a marriage of convenience.
Well, we did uncover that it was, you know, Nora and Troy's wedding was an arranged marriage. So perhaps it's just what Richard thought he had to do. And we did hear him say, why would you throw all this away just for love? That's what was reported. as him saying that
Troy
what
was the best
overheard.
choice.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Question for Jules. You followed him because he was meeting her, even though you were engaged to him. Did you find her in the well when he ran away, and did you finish her off?
Well, I did go to see if she was there, and it would have been really embarrassing for everyone if it had come out that Richard had pushed her down the well. So I may have quieted her up so that it didn't come out that it was on the property, and it would have ruined the reputation of our estate.
Not completely an admission of murder, but quieted is an interesting word. All right.
Am I allowed to ask a supplementary?
Go ahead.
Was she alive when she came out of the well?
When you discovered her at the bottom of the well and quieted her, was she alive?
I have nothing to say about that. She did not answer me after I quieted her up.
Okay. All right.
I did not actually see her body at the bottom of the well. I was at the top, so.
Okay. We have room for 2 more questions. Gary, go ahead.
I have a question for Julie. How did you quiet her up?
Apparently I had a gun in my pocket, so I used that.
Okay. Marianne, go ahead.
Murderer! You trollopy murderer! You killed my sister! You killed... Oh, no wonder Richard was not interested in you, you little trollop. You used to be out in the forest when I would walk across the property, and I would see you standing there trying to entice him. Oh my God, it was just terrible. Oh, murderer, murderer, I say, murderer.
We don't know if she actually hit him when she shot.
Intended murder doesn't matter. She tried to kill her.
That was
She
my
might
sister.
still be alive.
Oh, great one, please tell us. The great one will know.
All right, one last question and then we're done, guys. Gary, go ahead.
My question is for Julie. Did you have any help quieting her up?
No, because Richard would never have agreed to that because he was still madly in love with her even after they had the huge fight. And Melinda, even though she probably would have tried to find a quiet ambulance for her, she still wouldn't have tried to help. So I was done with her being in the middle of my marriage, and he was always going off with her, and I just thought this would just be a good ending, but I don't know. It was a rash decision, and then I second guessed myself, and I ran back to my taxi before I checked to see anything further. So.
And so it seems we have solved Nora's murder. That still means we don't know who killed Richard or why. So it's time to take a break tonight, and we will be back to the interrogations tomorrow. So, who did it? Why'd they do it? Now we know why Nora is dead, and we understand now why Gary was in the room as Nora, why Nora's spirit was moving through him. We understand that part of it now, but where's the rest? Watch the replays. Get ready to sling your accusations at the end of the month. Remember, we're here until the 29th when all will be revealed. If you have heard someone say, I have nothing to say about that, could be a red herring, could be they just don't know anything, could be they just haven't, read their notes. So keep that in mind when you're reviewing the replays. It's wax dripping time. Here are the top 5 standings. Richard Gere in first place. Richard Gere. See?
Richard Gere?
Richard?
Richard Gere?
So wrapped up in this story. Oh my God. Christopher Gere in first place, Amy Kelso in second, Andrew Allen Smith in third, Jules Nelson in fourth, Deborah Reed, he rounds out the bottom five, or the top five at the bottom of the top five. And just in case I know some of you are wondering, and because I took the time to actually do the math, here are the standings for all of the participating authors after the top five. There you are. If you find your name on the list, that's your wax dripping collection. If your name is not as high on the list as you would like, invite more people to come to the next 2 weeks of the madness and remind them to name you when they register. There are prizes to be won, folks. So this, not to mention bragging rights, but, there's awards too. Now it's time for talismans from the spirits. Each night we spin the wheel of happiness. We give away books. We are giving away Mark Love's book, Chasing Favors, and Amy Kelso's, Deborah, you were on my screen. Amy Kelso's book, Yana. So there's so much that was done tonight. I just can't even keep my brain focused. If you win tonight, remember to send me your mailing address on the spinning wheel of happiness, and I will make sure you get your books. And there's Mark with his book, Chasing Favors, Amy with her book, Yana, You Are Not Alone. Check out the books if you don't win them. They're extraordinary stories. Really, you gotta check them out. The whole reason I do this madness is not just so that I can be entertained by all of you, but yeah, that's fun too. But my goal is to make as many people aware of your books as humanly possible, and that's why I keep screaming you from the rooftops. So we're going to keep doing that for the next 2 weeks. It's time to spin the wheel of happiness. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. There, there's the spinning wheel of happiness. The first spin tonight is for Mark Love's book, which is Chasing Favors, and I hope the sound works. Here we go. Hold on. I got to make sure everybody's in the room. Is everybody in the room? Well, you know what? If somebody's not in the room, we'll just spin it again. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Spinning the wheel again. Congratulations, Christopher. You have won Amy's book. It's a great read. You're going to love it. Okay, a couple more to do real quick before we leave. Can Diana do it? I don't know.
It scares me to know she's going to know where I live.
Yeah, you're right. That is a frightening thought.
But Jules is the one you have to be worried about, apparently.
That's
well,
what I
yeah,
was thinking.
Just use a P.O. box.
It's already killed one person tonight, so who knows? Okay, on February 29th, we are having the big reveal. Also, the spectacular hat competition. Bring your favorite hat. We're going to make it fun. We'll give away prizes for the hat that's the funnest. All right. This has been a very revealing evening. Where is it going to go tomorrow? Your guess is as good as mine. We'll see. Okay. Shots across the bow since we're running it so tight. Marianne Wieland.
I'm just shocked at the information. Wasn't expecting that.
I'm glad I can keep you on your toes. Amy Kelso, shots across the bow.
I am also shocked, but yet not surprised. I always knew there was something about Jules that didn't sit right. So
there you go. She's kind of creepy sometimes. Melinda Falgo, shots across the bow.
It's all fun. I love it.
So,
Same time, same channel, tomorrow night.
same bat time, same bat channel. Jules Nelson, shots across the bow.
I know it's kind of fun to play the bad guy, I guess, because I'm usually the bad guy. So it's just kind of fun to pull that out of my hat. So see what else I can pull out tomorrow.
So glad you didn't see it coming. That's super fun for me. Gary Floyd, shots across the bow.
I'm just glad we got one bad apple off the street.
Oh, the police haven't shown up just yet, so who knows? Donna Newman, go ahead.
Just that's what happens, Jules, when you don't come. She decides to make you the murderer.
You don't show up, you never know. And Christopher, shots across the bow.
Well, on behalf of Richard Gere and myself, we'll be texting you our theories later.
Appreciate that. And Dawn, are you still in the room? Nope, she booted off. Okay. Thank you everybody for indulging the silliness. This is a lot of fun for me because as a devoted, passionate plotter, this game forces me to do what I would not normally do. So thank you all for playing along and stretching my fences of creativity. Thank you very, very much. Have an awesome evening. We'll see you back tomorrow night. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey.